Welcome back to What the Flag. And for those of you that are viewing this, you will see that we have all four of us from the get-go on this screen because nothing else matters. The Blessing Kapsawara is joining us after his journey home from China and playing in Ningbo. And we thought there's no way we could discuss anything other than this man's adventure. So I don't even know. I mean, I love you guys, Ken, Yaz, you're super cool. But Blessing, I mean, talk to us about everything.
I mean, this episode might be one of the longest we've ever done because there's so much
I
to
know
talk
we're on a
about.
time limit, bless him. No time to burn. No
So they
time.
said you already get, but it was no, honestly, super amazing. I cannot shout out the NBFO crew enough. Like I was saying, I actually had a call with Coach Bello this morning, and I was saying to him like, I think this is like the closest, the closest to like what it feels like to play professionally in a flag tournament outside an IFAF competition because everything that they did from beginning to end was just amazing. We got picked up from the airport. Even before then, when I got booked to do this, I was communicating with Lincoln, and I remember saying to him, asking him questions like, will this be booked? Will this be sorted? Will this be sorted? And Lincoln just kept messaging me saying, I will look after you, don't worry. And I was always like, can I just have a little bit more information, please? But
No.
honestly, I was looked after the whole time. It was amazing. Um, got to the airport, I saw a guy holding a sign that said a phone that said flag football on it. So I was like, I guess that's for me. And then I was taken to the hotel. You get to the hotel, and the hotel was just kitted out with NBFO, like signage everywhere, like huge, like I don't even know, like in feet how big the sign was. Saying welcome to Ningbo, touchdown Ningbo. Then you get inside, there's another sign. Get into the lobby, there's footballs everywhere, there's like American football balloons. Honestly, it was incredible. They had taken over the whole hotel. And everywhere you went, even the buggies that took you around had NBFO like signage on them. It was amazing. Um, then it started with an opening ceremony, which was amazing. We were in another hotel for this opening ceremony, and they had a bunch. They just really showcased Chinese heritage and culture. They had musicians, they had singers, they had so much stuff going on, included all of the players and stuff. And then the competition started, and the venue was just amazing. Like it was so nice to. Okay, Kenny's got a
I'm
question.
just sorry. I'm sorry. I feel like otherwise you're just gonna.
I'm
There's
trying
some.
to get through it. Yaz is on
First of
my
all, I know, I
case.
know. The timeline, the timeline. Forget, yes, no joke. No, no, no.
Imagine.
There's a ton of questions. There's a ton of questions. So, like, first, can you just
Mm.
give us a bit more? Who's Lincoln? I know we've talked about Lincoln a few times, but I feel like we have to give the story of who Lincoln is
He's the
every time we
GOAT.
talk about
That's
it.
all that matters. He's the GOAT.
That is literally it. Lincoln is the goal. Like what Lincoln actually does, I have no idea. But all I know is Lincoln runs NBFO and does a bunch of other stuff. But NBFO, he's one of the people that run it. It's been going on for about 3 years now, from what he told me. And yeah, he's the one that brought me out there. Well, he said 3 years. The competition had been going on for 3 years.
Isn't he a policeman?
So this is what we were told before. Like before everything else, we were told that he works for the government and he does whatever he does out there. But NBFO is like part of the many hats that he wears. So yeah,
Main hustle, side
who
hustle.
who
Okay,
Lincoln
okay,
is,
okay.
I can't really explain that. That's a paradox. But just know
Lincoln
that
is
he's
a
this
Lincoln is
amazing
a
guy.
vibe. He's a feeling.
Yeah.
It's not a
He might not
Enigma, an
even be
enigma.
real. He
Sorted.
might not
fair
even
enough.
be real. But genuinely, like an amazing guy. Um, Obviously, got the pleasure of meeting him out at the World Games last year, and that's how the connection was made. And the connection just stayed from that point. But yeah, back to the story. Um, at the venue where everybody was, where the players were playing, the tournament was going on. Everyone had their own like section for the players, and then you had liaisons um, that were bringing you to the pitch or to the warm up area. Once you started, okay, another question from Yaz.
So I'm just going to say, just before you get into it, all, like the first one of the first things you said was, like everything was just like so amazing. You spoke about how well organized it was, and like obviously I'm not trying to bring any other competitions down, but in terms of like comparison from like competitions that you have been previously, you know, like Euros, the World Games, how did this compare in comparison to the experiences that you've already had doing something that's kind of on a similar level in terms of like the presentation, how you were treated throughout the process, you know, like
Mm.
how does it differ, and which one, you know, would you prefer? If we can
No,
say
I
that, can we
mean,
say that?
yeah, we actually, to be clear, we have Paris, we have the World Games, and we have
mm.
Ningbo. Those are the three to compare, please.
And I think that in itself already tells you a lot because you're comparing it to international competitions with like international like teams. But I would put it in the category in terms of the planning and the execution as those kind of tournaments because honestly it was amazing. I would say the planning and everything was like similar to how the World Games was, like the World Games the way they had like people to look after you. You were taken to and from venues to hotels to wherever. Um, I can't fault them at all. Like, I can't fault them on terms of their planning. I was looked after as a videographer. I see normally it's the players that get looked after, but I felt like I was getting looked after so much to the point where I had to be like, guys, like I actually have work to do. Like, please, like I appreciate it. They were force feeding me. They were like, have you eaten today? Like, when was the last time you eaten? Like, I'm just there at my laptop trying to get an edit out for you guys, but you guys are pushing me to eat and to enjoy myself. And it was amazing. Like, genuinely, I don't think I can fault them. I personally think that it's been I can say that it's been my favorite experience in terms of a tournament because I really got to see Chinese culture. Whereas the World Games, we got to see it a little bit, but then obviously being in the athletes' village, you're there with like different. They basically made like they like westernized a little area for you to be in during the World Games. Whereas this felt like I'm in China right now and everything like down to the hotel. I'll put some clips in of the hotel when I did like a walk around. The hotel had like this really rustic, like Chinese look. And you literally felt like you're walking through like a concrete temple or something. At times, like it was super cool. Like everything was super cool. Yes.
Sorry. I was trying to throw shade because obviously Euros, yes, European Championships Paris. The opening ceremony was just
For that
on
game?
a grass field,
Mhm.
and then World Games opening ceremony. You didn't get to go, did you? Because there were pass issues or something. So that's
Yeah.
why I was trying to throw some shade, but bless is just too nice. It's too nice.
Listen, I've been around Phoebe enough. I know how to. I'm media trained now, guys.
Navigate, yeah.
You get
Good
it,
man, good man. Don't
but
don't
yeah,
be biting. These
yeah, no, no,
you
I
otherwise the next image is going to be blessing said,
yeah.
Bless it.
and
He said what?
exactly.
He said
Yeah,
what?
fine. So I'll leave that to you guys. Right? But no,
No, we'll just leave
genuinely.
it to Kenny. We'll just leave it to Kenny.
But yes,
I was just gonna say, like, I know we keep cutting you off, and you've still got so much of your story to say, but just like one more question on sort of like your overall experience. Obviously, you know, end of this summer we have the World Flag competition coming up. Then also looking forward to 2028, we have the Olympics coming up, and I know there's obviously continentals in between that, but in terms of sort of the scale of the experience that you had in Ningbo, how far do you think these international federations are from being at that scale? Like, what do you think will be the thing that tops the scale to bring it up to where the experiences that you've had?
I think with like well, the Chinese people that I've met, they care so much about hospitality. And when you come into their country, into their wherever they are, they want you to feel that hospitality. And I think more than anything, that's what they care about. And they obviously want to put on a show. They want to showcase their culture. Because their culture is so different to like Western culture, it's stuff that you've never seen before. Like there was literally a dancing dragon in the opening ceremony throwing gifts at people. Like stuff like that. Like you don't see that here. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like you're literally catching like these little keychains and different trinkets. from a dancing dragon. There was this guy who had like 24 masks and like changed them during the like his dance, but you don't see him like it just changes. I still don't know how he did it, but I think when I look at their culture, their heritage, the way they do things, I think because it is so different to the way we do things, it's always going to be something new, something amazing, something cool to look at. I just love the fact that they really integrate their culture into everything that they do, and they let you experience that. I think that was super amazing. Again, I understand that cultures are very different, and like what Kenny was saying about like Euroflag, if there's a way to showcase culture more, I think that's what really will help things grow. Because, like, yeah, like obviously for us, we're from the UK, we know UK culture, but if we go to Germany, if we go to wherever, we want to experience that culture. And I think that's what was amazing about Ningbo. Like, they really got to show you this is what our culture is, this is what our heritage is, and we want to invite you to experience that as well. And I think that's what made the experience even better than just playing flag football for me. Yeah.
I think that's really
You didn't
interesting.
even play.
I didn't even know. I think that's really interesting though. Like, I mean, I know I'm thinking scale wise, if we think about like the Olympics, because obviously because of all of the money, the funding, the things that should be going in there in terms of culture. I think it'd be really interesting to see then if culture being on display is sort of very much at the forefront of what you're saying, like made this so amazing. It'd be really interesting to see what they have in store when it comes to LA, because it could just be meaty and really dense. But I think America is a place in the world that is so full of so many cultures. Like, what
Mm,
would stand out? Like, what would you pull out of it in order to make that show amazing? What would you pull out of it in order to make that competition amazing? And obviously,
mm,
we know like they will have money behind it. Like, I think we've spoken about it before, like America never slacks when it comes to throwing money at things and being able to get the biggest and the best of. But what is the best of, I guess, by the time we get to sort of like that competition? Like, how do you showcase the best of in those moments to sort of like rival arguably quite a small competition in comparison to what like the Olympics will and can be?
mhm. Yeah, I
Yeah,
think I
I
think you're
think it'll be
right.
interesting.
Okay.
Sorry, there. I think there's a small delay, but yeah, I think it'll be interesting because while people, I think, yeah, what you're alluding to a bit might also be the fact that America and Americana is so commonplace, especially in the Western world. Like, how do things like fashion is kind of dictated, especially street fashion is dictated by what goes on in the States and music and so on and so forth. So, but if anything, if the barometer I kind of use is the Super Bowls, for example, right? It's going to be a lot of that's all, whether it is Bad Bunny, whether it's going to be LA. So that's like it opens up the day up. It opens up the way for Dr. Dre, Snoop, all of the West Coast, artists that we know. Um, but ultimately, so it's not. I don't think it's. I think the novelty of Ningbo and NBFO is the fact that Chinese culture is perhaps so different to what we know in the Western world. So, now's as good a time as any to say I still haven't experienced China yet, and I'm starting to feel a bit of a way.
Me
I felt a
neither.
way about it already.
Me neither.
So yeah, yeah. So I think
What
Lincoln,
what the flag
whether we
on
need to
tour?
translate this bit, yeah, yeah, yeah. Just
Yeah,
work it
we
out.
shouted you out, bro.
Do
Like,
what you
help
need
us
to
out.
do.
We help you,
Yeah.
you help us. Shake hands.
2027, we have
Very
to be
much.
there.
You
100%.
know.
Have
100%.
they already put the date out? Do they have the
Um,
date
I
yet?
I'm not too sure. I don't think so, but I think it'll be around about the same time, like
Exclusive
next
from
year.
Blessing Kapswara next year, Ningbo.
Yeah, I'm not too
Hey,
sure, but
no, just say a date, then they have to do that
I
date.
wish,
Say a
I
date.
wish, I wish I knew. I wish I knew. But honestly, like it's yeah, definitely something that I think we should all be out there. I mean, I was telling them in our group chat about how I was approached by this guy, and obviously being from the UK, like people when people approach you on a certain vibe, you have your walls up. And I was saying to Kenny how this guy came up to me, he's like, "I know you from somewhere," and I was like, "Whoa." Whoa. And then he's like, where do I know you from? I was like, I don't know. Like, where do you know me from? And he's like, oh, you're Phoebe and Kenny's guy. And I was just, But the way he approached me at the beginning, I was
You're
like,
your own man.
yeah.
Tell them I'm
Yeah.
a big boy.
I was like,
Hey,
whoa. Like,
I don't have no chaperones.
but
Mm.
honestly, I was like, yeah, like it would be amazing for you guys to be out there. And I think for me, aside, and I know we'll go into like content and stuff, but aside from making content for NBFO, which is what I was out there to do, creating the content for the flag and getting to talk to people, hear people's experiences, hear all of these different things was probably one of my favorite parts about like game days because hearing so many people's like stories and the way they've come into flag football, what inspired them to play flag football, it was amazing. There's so many stories. There were so many different cultures that I got to meet and talk to. Shout out to Pierre Pritchard. Like she introduced me to a bunch of Australian candy and
he's the best.
snacks,
He is
and
the
I was
best.
like, "This is incredible! Like this is so cool." I don't like Vegemite, but
Sweets, sweets.
but honestly, like to see
Say
all of that
Vegemite, as
culture,
in Marmite, but Vegemite.
yeah, that's what they've got
Oof.
out there.
Yeah, yeah.
But yeah, yeah, I got to experience so many different cultures, and I found it amazing. Like it was really taken back by people's stories and the love that people have for flag. It makes you love it even more because you get to hear this is why someone loves flag football. Like there was one guy that I spoke to, and his name is well, Americans say it better. He's an American guy called Otto, but obviously they say Otto out there. And he was saying that he was playing college football at like a high level and like contact football, and then he didn't make it to the league, but he plays flag football now, and he was just like since playing flag, he's found his love for football again. And obviously to see someone who was almost at that highest level of football now playing flag and enjoying it where he's saying like I just love being a part of the team, I love doing like it's all of these different stories that I was like this is super cool to hear about, so I really enjoyed that part of the process for sure. Yeah.
It's amazing. I think it's always the best part of these trips where you get to meet people and see, and especially I think the location of that tournament um, allows for so many kind of other people that we don't get to see on a regular basis. We have to shout out, I have to shout out other Spanish girls, the butterflies that went out there, came second. And also, probably we'll have to set up a whole other section to talk about this. But Team Russia also sent men's and women's teams who obviously with things going on in the world, Russia aren't allowed to compete in flag competition, in international flag competition yet. Don't know if that's going to change, when it changes, what the ramifications will be. Um, but honestly, it's just regardless of people's political views, it's great to see people who love the game playing the game that they enjoy and doing so at a high level. Shout out Daniela and Alex from Team Russia Women's Team. So um, it's as I said that we can't legislate for governments and wars and stuff, but as long as people get to do the things they love and they do it in a way that's allowing other people to enjoy, then yeah, the more the merrier. I think it can only be a good thing. So yeah, jealous of you, blessing, in the nicest way. Like, but it was great to see you out there and see you doing what you do.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we are so incredibly proud of you and your growth this year, and also so incredibly jealous, but we move.
No, 100%. You guys should come out there. I think even
Okay, stop
whatever.
rubbing it in, please. Well,
No, no.
why we sheesh? Like we heard, we should go. We're
I was
gonna
about to
go,
big you
okay?
guys
Like,
up, but it's okay. It's okay. But no, I again one more time want to shout out like the NBFO crew, um, and also like all of the teams that went out there. I think I got to see such a high level of flag football in again a competition that isn't like an IFAF competition. I think some of the players I was talking to Kenny about the Chinese men's team, they are going to be a team that are going to disrupt the world order for sure because what Pat Lee is doing out there is, yeah, I remember walking, they had like a practice and I walked into the practice. And normally, wherever I'm at, I'm kind of like, most of the time, I'm like one of the tallest people in the room or in that area. But some of those guys were so tall and just built, and like they're just athletes. Like, and watching them play, I was like, wow. Like there's this one guy, I can't remember his name, but he was number 13 for the China men's team. And he was just so fun to watch. Like he had this swagger about him that's like that football swagger that we talk about. And like I remember what team they were playing against, but the other team must have scored a touchdown, and he just like ran onto the pitch and he was like, cool, it's our turn now. And then he got like the quarterback threw him this like 40, I don't even know how long it was, huge pass all the way downfield, caught the ball, and then he just throws it up in the air. And I was just like, yeah, this guy's got something. Like, but like that whole team, the whole Chinese men's team, think they're gonna like they were fun to watch. And the final game for the men's was the Croydon Rangers that had a bunch of Team USA players versus the China men's team, and it was just such a fun game to watch. And even the finals between the women's and the elite group was the Butterflies versus Team Hyde. That was, I think, the level of flag that I got to see there was just, yeah, it was just such a high level. And I think any team or any like federation that's trying to grow themselves, that's definitely something that they should look at being at, because the level was really, really good. I really enjoyed watching the flag for like that I saw over the couple of days. Like it was so hard to edit because I had hours of footage, because every single thing that I filmed, there was always like a good play. Like honestly, like defensively, offensively, it was amazing to watch for sure. It was amazing to watch. So yeah, it was great. And the last thing I will say again to Lincoln is thank you for looking after me. It's so funny because when I was leaving the airport, I looked at my bank statement and I spent £60 that whole week I was in China. I spent £60. And the only reason I'm saying this number is because £30 of that was spent paying for my luggage, because my luggage was over. So I had to pay £30 because my luggage went over, because they gave me so many gifts that my bag was overweight. Like genuinely, I had
Invoice
the
for it.
best time. Yeah, right, right. But honestly, like I can't fault that them. Like I can't fault them with anything. I think what they're doing out there is definitely something that people should look at and people should get involved in, because you will have an amazing time. I think it's so cool to see players who might not have been able to play at the like international level or aren't there yet, getting to feel what it feels like being taken, like you're in a hotel where everything is branded, you're getting taken to your games, you have liaisons that are taking you everywhere.
Bless him, bless him. Time out. If we say any more, we're gonna have to pay them for like
Cool.
they're gonna have to sponsor this podcast if we say
Bro.
any more about them.
Can we
So
please also
But
acknowledge that he said I'm gonna wrap it up 3 times and he's like, oh, and this and this and this and
I,
this
I
and
told
this.
I told you guys there was
he
just
said
so
he was
much to
media
talk
trained.
about.
He said he was
Yeah.
media trained.
I
He's
lost
not,
it when
guys.
it
He's
came to
not. He's not.
Lincoln.
We'll try this again.
But yeah, no, I appreciate it, guys. And I appreciate me having the opportunity to talk about it here. Thank you for that.
No,
Well
we
done, well,
love it.
well
And
done,
just
well done.
the engagement that we've had with What the Flag is so exciting, right? Like, What the Flag is supposed to be about people around the world playing this sport, no matter what level you're playing at. And the work that you did out there and just kind of showcasing all the super cool, talented people that love this sport and the passion that they
Mm.
have for flag football, like, that's what this is about. And so we're grateful that we get to start being connected. We may not all be there together, but like, you are truly connecting a lot of those dots. And some more dots will be filled this weekend when we go to Big Bowl, which is going to be your first Big Bowl. You're finishing your tour. Before we let you go, what are some things that you're looking forward to with Big Bowl this weekend?
Oh, oh, I'm not even sure. I think it's just gonna. Again, coming off of even Kingbo as well, like getting to hear people's stories, talking to people who maybe we've connected with online but never in person. I'm looking forward to just hearing more stories. I think my I came into this sport to help grow the sport, help showcase the sport, help showcase the people in the sport and in the community. And I think that's what I just want to keep doing. I think Ningmo, Kingbo, all of them have like lit a fire like that just wants to keep showcasing how amazing the sport is and how amazing everybody is. So I'd say that's what I'm looking forward to the most. And obviously getting to spend time with Phoebe and Kenny, of course. But yeah.
I can't
Yeah, I
lie.
would say
I
that
wasn't gonna
for
say
sure.
anything. The fact that you went to China and someone knows my name, I'm gassed. I don't care. You know, even I'm gonna send my mom a message. Mom, they know me in China. Like I've made it. I've made
I'm international, man. I'm international.
it.
Facts, facts.
Well, Blessing, thank you so much for joining us. We are so glad you had such a good time. And we're going to kick you off for now, and we will be right back after this.
Thank you.
All right, we're back from our break thanks to touchdown trips. And we had to get rid of Blessing. We couldn't hear about him bragging anymore. It was too much for Kenny's ears. But he left us on a good note because Big Bull is almost here today as we record. It is Wednesday. Kenny and myself will drive out tomorrow. Blessing is living that big time lifestyle, so he's decided to pull out from our car drive and he's flying himself there. So he will be meeting us out there in Frankfurt for his first big bowl. And, this is one of the events that's always really exciting because it's got, I mean, you have so many different groups, so many different countries participating. There's a central clock, and that makes it quite unique. I mean, I know, Kenny, this is something that you always like to talk about.
Yeah, go. No. Yes, I do. I do. Big Bowl is probably, I think, I want to say the longest running kind of big international tournament that there is in Europe, run by the Clevers. I never know how to say it properly in German. It's Klever, Clevers. Um, and it's going to be an interesting one for them this year because they just had baby number three, another boy. I don't know if it's Benny or Louise who are trying to get a full flag football team in their family, but they've got four now. If Benny keeps playing QB for the next 18 years or so. So I don't know, maybe two more, and then the team will be complete. But I absolutely love the tournament. It's been at the same place each year for as long as I can remember in my flag life. Um, yeah, it's one always look forward to. Always look forward to it. They have a massive food tent, and the beer doesn't stop flowing. I don't drink beer at all, but I'm reliably informed that the beer doesn't stop flowing all weekend. So looking forward to it. Looking forward to it. Going to Waldorf, just outside Frankfurt.
Yeah, and there's always like a players' party on the Saturday night, which is always a good time, but you can see the teams who are looking to compete on Sunday and the ones who have enjoyed themselves on the Saturday. I mean, I would love for it to be like maybe at the end of the tournament or perhaps the beginning of the tournament, just as like a get together. Someone had messaged me about for some of these tournaments, we should do like some sort of potluck kind of food kickoff. Like, I feel like that would be so fun for an event mainly because I love food, but also like food brings people together and it doesn't have to be alcohol. People can drink if they want to. But I just think that might be quite fun. Although they've got a pretty packed schedule on Friday. You were saying, Ken, it's the first time they've done like a proper full youth tournament?
They're gonna have a youth element on the Friday. Obviously, we have the Air to the Throne clinic on the Friday as well. And then I've heard just breaking news. It's not really breaking, but that there's going to be a an exhibition game between the Wanderers and is it the Japan Ninjas? Or have I made that name up?
No, they're the Japan Ninjas. I
Okay,
mean, I
okay.
think, or now I don't know. I think it's just that it might even just, I mean, it is just the ninjas, but they're from Japan, which is exciting.
Okay, it is the ninjas from Japan. We are 100% sure about that. Or has someone pulled your leg and now we're going to get in trouble? When...
No, no, but now you're making me doubt myself. They may not be called the ninjas, but I'll figure it out. Yeah, it is ninjas.
I'm joking.
7:15.
Okay, so 7:50. So Heir to the Throne, I think the youth clinic is going to run kind of in the afternoon. Heir to the Throne will run a bit alongside that from 4 p.m. to 6 p.m. And then this exhibition game, which will be interesting to watch. Um, to see because it's always Japan always come with a very unique style of football. So it'll be interesting to see who they have, how they play. But I think the Wanderers are always good, and the guys in Waldorf who organize people are always good for giving that kind of bit of entertainment to go with the tournament, all the way through. And I'm going to say it, I'm going to tempt fate, but the weather's been great the last few years, so hopefully, yes, it should remain the same this weekend. Yes, Merca, yes, but in Merc.
Well, I was gonna say when you say like a team plays uniquely, and I feel that's like a kind of vague statement. Like, what do you mean when a team
Oh,
plays has quite a unique approach to the game? What kind of things should we be expecting, especially sort of world competition? This is a really good showcase to have a look at all of these teams. What would we expect on this unique front?
absolutely. And it's a great question. So many teams will have styles of play generally developed, probably not deliberately, but based on the people and the players they have. So, starting with a team that just choosing a random team, kind of a blank team, a white label team type deal. If your quarterback doesn't have a super strong arm, you probably work on a lot of short passes, quick routes, quick moves. You might want to use a bit of smoke and mirrors, a bit of misdirection, which the Japan teams of old, men's and women's team, were known for doing. But then, knowledge doesn't stay bottled up in a jar. It finds its way out. It wants to grow. It wants to get out to places. So you start to find other teams may use those styles, whereas Waldorf have, three, four, five players at least who are all over 6'5". So they play a more explosive game. They stretch the field vertically. It's a lot of big, deep throws, a lot of, yeah. And uh, Benny Clever, I played defense against him one time. He threw what should have 100% been a pick. And in one of the more shameful moments of my career, alongside dropping a ball from Tom Brady, he actually broke my thumb. The ball broke my thumb. Yeah. That happened at King Bowl 2 or 3 years back. So, different styles of play based on the players that they have.
For
There is
anyone
a
watching, Phoebe is giving like the ET phone home right now.
That might be the t-shirt, ET, phone home. It is exactly the same.
Alex, Alex continued to ruin my bad pinky, and now this is it. Bigger than ever.
Yeah, larger than ever before.
Larger. Thank you, Alex, for your
Yes.
contributions to my skanky hand.
Yes, you had another question.
Yeah, I've got all the questions because I don't want to move too far from what something that Phoebe started with earlier, and it kind of links to what you were saying. So you talk about sort of unique styles of play, and I mean, unique styles of play can come from the fact that I guess flag is still very much a social game, and when we get to competitions like Big Bowl, you really see the difference between. Obviously, I mean this with the best of intentions. Teams who take it seriously and are using this as an outing to really test and stuff, and teams who are using it as a social opportunity, right? So when you have um, events the day before a game, and then you have a tournament starting early doors, I guess you really, really see that drop off. And I guess it begs the question, like, at what point do you make that split between actually I'm going to do this socially and I'm going to do this properly, and then how do those marry up? Because you could end up with a social team that's brilliant and really challenges those teams that are there to play, there to try new things out, looking at those world competitions. But you can also end up with a team that we've seen, I guess, across quite a few competitions this year, where you really stretch the talent, and actually some of the teams that you play against, for lack of a better word, aren't very good versus the ones that are pro. And then there's always that constant argument, is there? You see it a lot on the forums, like, how does this grow the sport if you're scoring like 100 points on a team or big numbers? Like, how does that help? How does that engage? So in terms of like, circle back to my question, but in terms of like how we use these competitions to sort of propel flag forward, like at what point do we say actually this is a social competition, and like socially you want to drink, you want to play, this is great, and at what point do we say actually this is professional, like going towards the sort of more um challenging teams that are looking to compete? At what point do we make those splits when we get to these big competitions?
So there are a number of things on that. And again, that's a great question. But I think in my mind, first of all, it speaks to the growth of flag as a whole, right? So I would say, and I stand by it, that maybe when I first started playing flag 10 years ago, 11 years ago, teams could go to tournaments, kind of get, quite unhealthily drunk of an evening and still show up and perform the following day because the standard generally across the board was not that high, and there are many, many stories of people showing up a bit worse for wear on day two, performing well, or as the case may be, not performing well at all. Um, but also it depends on, I think another part of it is it also depends on the culture of the tournament, the culture of the event. So, I said it, Big Bowl, there's a big tent and there's a section. They're well organized, well set up. Section for food, section for drinks. But part of the beer tap is going constantly. If you provide beer all day, across the tournament, 2 days of a tournament, I think they've started now serving beer from the Friday even. It's like if there's beer, people are going to drink it. If people are drinking beer, they're probably not, So, but I think the level of competition is such that if you're going to be one of the top teams, you have to treat it you have to take it in a professional manner. But also, I don't think there's anything wrong with leaving the space for teams that do want to travel on a social trip, on a social trip and just be like, hey, we're just going out. I just want to go and have fun with my mates and, drink a couple of beers between matches and, just have a bit of a laugh and not take it too seriously. To your point, the issues, I guess, may arise then when a super social teams comes up against an elite team and there's not much of a competition because, as you said, that's not really helping anyone. And if anything, actually, I think you might start to risk injury. Or you might, if people just got unable to move with the speed or whatever. So, but really and truly, I think Big Bowl is established enough that people know exactly what it is. So if you choose to go, you kind of know what you're getting. And the final thing, I think it's like 12-minute halves or 15-minute halves, maybe. It's a constant running clock. There's not enough time to run the score up like that on anyone, really. So it's good fun. It's fast paced. It's normally great weather, like I said. So it's everything you want, really.
I didn't know because Yas still had her hand raised if she had more to
She
ask.
100% has questions.
I
Yeah,
mean,
let
you
me.
can go for it. I mean, all my stuff is around like having seen what different teams are putting out because now we're at least from those competing at the World Championships, any of the athletes that are on any of the national programs, where as our David, our SNC analyst guru for GB, he's like, you pretty much have 51 days to reach peak performance. And so that's not really a lot. And you think, is that enough time if something were to happen? Like, you have to start being a bit more cognizant, making sure that you're going, yeah, everyone wants to win, but also like what's more important to you at the end of the day. We've seen some people at Copenhagen getting injured, and you don't ever wish that on anybody. And so I'm fascinated to hear like what national programs are saying to their athletes. I don't really see many of, at least not like publicly, many of the US players at the moment. Like, I mean, yes, they went out to Ningbo, but like when do teams stop competing in some of these types of competitions, I mean, it goes for any national program. Like when do you have to like cut that line off?
So I'm going to jump in because it's super interesting. For me, it's like, okay, so we look at soccer, normal football, or the NBA, right? Those are professional sports, and those guys are professional athletes. Guys is
Basketball
pulling
reference?
face.
Basketball reference.
Excuse me, sorry. But so as a professional athlete, you can't really stop playing until until your contract is up or until you fulfilled, the games. So you have players on the England team that have to keep playing and keep going in the Premiership until whatever, and then all of a sudden they go to England camp because it's the World Cup. It's different for us in flag because going out to play to win big ball, like respectfully, it's not. You literally don't get anything for it. It's not, So why would you risk the potential you would get from being in the Olympics? So, and that was it. Because initially I was like, well, can you really stop players from playing? Should you stop players from playing? Do you want to buy into the aspect of kind of being fearful of injury and stuff? And it's like, no, you don't. But that's all well and good until an injury happens, and then it's like, why were you playing? Why were you involved? Like, why were you playing so hard? Um, but I think my stance on it, and the kind of thing I try to tell players is, look, you could get injured trying to get on the bus. You know, you could get injured walking down some stairs. So do what keeps you fit, do what keeps you healthy, do what keeps you locked in. For me, as when I was playing, when I'm still playing, but when I was playing at that level, like it was just making sure I got my catches in every day. No excuses. Like get the catches in, one-handed, two-handed, whatever. Catch because that was the bit. I could always run, I could always jump, I could always whatever. But the catching was that was the thing that was every day, low risk of injury, blah, blah. So I think people are still figuring it out by and large, and it'll be interesting to know what people do because, and I'll wrap it up. Like bless it, I'm going to wrap up, but I've not seen the guys and girls from Austria, for example, at any of the events, international competitions. So some of the French teams, again, I'm fairly sure we'll see them in Capital Ball because that's like in their backyard, but they're not. So there's definitely a shift, I guess, where those international teams aren't traveling together as much. But then,
Or are they keeping it just all keeping it like their cards close to their heart, like everyone's kind of running the same stuff, but also you got to remember that, Austria have that camp coming up with Germany, with Mexico, like they're finding other ways to compete in a controlled environment, which maybe for them is what they feel is more important.
absolutely, absolutely. And in those camps, you will have your medical staff, you'll have your SNC folk, so people that can really make sure you're looked after during the situation. So, I mean, I think it's a good idea, but I think we've seen this year a real, especially from the European standpoint, I don't think we've seen as many of the best players, especially on the women's side, out and about as we did last year, the year before. I think it's been a lot quieter. So it'll be very interesting to see if it's worked for people or if they've missed not having those competitions. You know?
Well, and we didn't even get to talk about it because last week, pretty much after we filmed our episode, the news broke that Vanita Crouch is no longer with Team USA. And, that's a huge, just like kind of, I think it's so like layered in the thought processes behind it. And obviously we don't know. Reach out to Vanita, like she's epic. She's gonna find something that she's gonna be able to do. She's been the GOAT for so long. Like she's inspired so many people and she's such a hard worker and so talented, but USA did let her go. And so what does that mean? You look at, the different groups, especially again, we are talking about the women's side, but Kenny, your group, you're in with USA. Like for me, if I'm thinking about it from their perspective, they're saying, "Hey, all right, we've got 2 years. We're guaranteed a spot at the Olympics because we're the host nation. This is a great opportunity to test drive some of our younger quarterbacks, give them the world stage experience that they're going to need because I'm I'm interested to see the teams that actually qualify for the Olympics this summer. You'll end up with three of them. What does that look like? Because we don't have the exact schedule going forwards for the teams that don't qualify. We know that there's going to be essentially a circuit of competition, but those three that qualify, who are they going to play? Where are they going to play? How are they going to continue to sharpen iron in terms of, getting those game reps? And I'm fascinated to see what all of this means. And, again, like Vanina could do anything. I did commentary with her at Oakley and she was phenomenal. So like that's also a no-brainer for someone who sees the game the way she does.
Yes, I mean, shout out to Vinny. We have to must acknowledge that someone. I think they said I saw somewhere that her international record is 33 and 2, which is immense, right? Yeah, it's just like, yeah, you don't do that. And also, as I said, I harken back to the days when she was thrown to the likes of Joe Overstreet and Neek Williams, is it? I don't know her surname. Yeah, I don't know her surname. Apologies. But Nadia Bibbs, those guys, like, there's a video of a pass she throws where, like, there's no receiver anywhere in the shot when she lets go of the ball, and then the ball fizzes like the wrong side of a defender's head, and her receiver shows up on the other side. Like, it's just the talent there is undeniable. And on the one hand, glad not to be facing her again. On the other, it's like all the scouting work and stuff that you've done. It's just like rip that all off, get it out of here, and then like try and work out what we're going to be facing now. So, but coming back to your point, Phoebe, I think it's if you're one of the teams that does qualify, you do everything next year, like because you got nothing to lose. You go and you play and everything, but also it's because there's still going to be continentals in 2027, and then it's the kind of winners, quote unquote, from those competitions that go through to this qualifier stage, the Olympic qualifiers, Olympic Q, which is going to be interesting because I think they're trying a new thing, but I don't see it being any more than the flag part of that being in one of those spots, one of those locations along the Olympic qualifier series. I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see. It's going to be very interesting to see how it all pans out. But yeah, it's easy from our end. Qualify for the Olympics now. They don't have to worry about any of the other stuff.
Simple.
Theory.
All right, guys, I think that's all we have time for today because it's been kind of crazy. Yes, I know you're back in America. You've got games going on. You're representing for us, but we cannot wait to have you all just back over here, getting back together. You will be back soon because our Chicago Bears clinics are starting up. They are going to be filling a majority of this podcast. We've got so many young, talented players, so much exciting stuff going on. So stay tuned. Thank you so much for tuning back in to What the Flag, and we'll see you next week for more action. So make sure you like, subscribe, and ring the bell.